Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's VIN-dow with Robert Hollinshead. And top of the morning to you, Bob.
Thank you, Shawnee.
So
Same to everyone else.
We're going to dive into auction fees now. Let's just get at it, Bob. You got a couple comments to say about how people should look at it and what's happening in the industry across North America, really.
Well, definitely, Shawnee, and not to be rude, I'm definitely not telling anybody how they should look at anything. It's only my opinion. If somebody finds value in that, that's good. And if not, I'm sure nobody would. But if they do, that's wonderful. But I'm not trying to pontificate and tell somebody we know something that other people don't. Only observation from experience. You follow me? So as I'm watching what's going on, and obviously, all the ideas that the prices are never going to go down and there's always going to be this and that. That's obviously is nonsense that went out the window, and it's that's over, and it's not going to be happening anytime soon, short of a world war or something, right? So hope to Christ that don't happen. But when I'm watching comments and listening to people and talking to dealers all over the place, right? When business is good, nobody cares about what it costs to do business. It don't mean nothing because the more you're throwing giant hunks of turds against the wall and a lot of it's sticking. So you're really not sitting there like being a hunter, right? That's what we are as car dealers, right? We're not gatherers. We're hunting. We're going to go get another kill because you just killed something else. You got to kill something else. Certain amount of meat goes bad because you weren't able to drag it in. It's too far to go and all the rest of it. But you can overlook that. You don't mean nothing, right, in the big picture. But as the pickings get a little thinner, and all of a sudden you start looking left and right and counting things, right? And then when you think about the axioms that we use as people that are traders since the beginning of time, right? And someone says that MMR this or that, whatever, it's good as bad, whatever. It's an axiom. It is a device or it's an item that everyone uses, whether they claim not to or not, to actually have a bit of information come in. One thing that we've always overlooked, and it didn't really mean anything in the beginning when Hal Logan started MMR, it didn't mean nothing because the cost of buying a car at an auction didn't mean nothing. And when I was talking about, I'm not beating up Cox or Manheim about their fees. It's all circumstances where dealers have to go out. Used car dealers, being the backbone of the industry, have to go out and find their inventory. They don't have tractor trailers dropping off, new cars where they don't have to go hunting for them. In other words, the used car dealer being the backbone of absorbing good ones, bad ones, left-handed, right-handed, all that type of thing. When I listen to the pain of these guys, where they bought a car for $15,000, and by the time they're done with 12 different fees, it's almost like a retail deal where you're getting smashed with dock fees and meson fees and double fees and some other fees. And when I think about this, I mean, I've never bought cars at auctions because I don't need to. We buy from source, and therefore, it's not we're selling to someone who's coming, and therefore, over the last million cars we've sold, I have empathy for the people that we're selling them to, and when you're standing in the lane and you're getting ready to buy something, but you really don't know what you're going to pay for it, it basically squelches when you go over, pick up a ticket, or you look online and see what you actually paid because you thought you paid 15G, but you didn't. You paid 16G. And now you got to go ship it and then mangle some sort of recon to be able to sell it to the McGillicuddy, right? You're completely crushed in that car. Very rare case that you're actually got any room left in it. And the fee thing, which I don't know that actually auctions or marketplaces think about it, it squelches the dealer's motivation, let's say, to buy another one because he's really not sure what he's paying for it. So when you look at MMR, you're not looking at what the dealer paid. You're not looking at what the seller sold it for. You're looking at a number in the middle. So the MMR 17G, you paid 17G. Oh, no, you didn't. You paid a G over MMR is what you did. See, now when you want to remarket that car because you couldn't in the next 30 or whatever, it wasn't no good for you. Something was broke. You can't fix it. You got to get back out of it. you paid 17. If it was from a seller with any kind of reputation or skill, you paid market value. Take 30 days from now, these cars are not going up again. I don't give a rat's rear end what kind of car it is. They ain't going up from this point forward. You take that 30 or 45 depreciation out of that car, on top of the, in other words, transportation and the fees, you're flat welded. You're going to have to retail another car in order to get somewhere close to your money back on the two. Forget making a profit or paying electric or a salesperson or something. So I guess the moral of my story is, it's when I'm watching what these folks keep on bumping things up, I don't think they're really thinking. I don't believe they're actually have any empathetic molecule in their brain to understand that you're crippling your only customer. If anyone thinks there's multiple types of customers that make cars disappear at an auction, you're crazy. In other words, the only people that are there absorbing these hogs are used car dealers. There's a couple little used car dealers here or there. Maybe a Carfax buys a car or something, but whatever. In other words, obviously they got a little thing going on where the average guy that's got his mortgage and his house and everything else on the line, typically to pay 15 or 20% interest on the money in order to do all of this activity, right? To me, it's like obtuse to overlook the pain or the circumstances, as it were, of the market conditions that are going to continue over the next X amount of time. There's never going to be another market like we had 2 or 3 years ago. It's never going to happen again. That needs to be extracted. That too needs to be removed from the brain that somehow or other that's going to happen again. I guess to me, it would be really smart. If nothing else, they made what it would actually cost you to buy a car for X amount of dollar. Make it transparent, man. Don't make it a surprise attack where another 250, whatever it is, popping up on your ticket that you got to overcome. Because I'm telling them actually, which nobody listens to me, but if they were to listen, by lack of transparency, you're squelching a hustler's brain from actually being motivated to buy more or do more business. Flat out, period, nothing to talk about, because the money is attached to that person and their responsibility to repay it. So when they don't know what they're buying a car for, they do not have an idea how much they're paying. God, Jesus, if he was the last bidder, could not tell you without looking at the ticket how much he actually paid. I'll tell you one thing, it wasn't MMR. It wasn't. If he paid MMR, that's not what he paid. And if I sold it, that's not what I'm getting for it. You see what I'm saying to you, Sean? I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever. But to me, it's just something. It's recurringly bouncing through my brain. When you watch these cars disappear, if we got 500 cars at the block on Friday, in other words, and who we're selling them to, it is true. Occasionally, new car dealers bid on a car too, but the vast majority of them are going to a used car dealer someplace, right? And when they're bidding, they do not know, even though they know what they actually were the last bid, they don't know what they're going to get, what they're actually paying for the car. And if during the day they're looking at their tickets and they start to pee in their underwear and they got testicular atrophy going on, in other words, their balls are shrinking because of it, the probability of them, being a peacock and buying more, even though they need the inventory, it squelches that urge. Hey, Sean, does that make any sense to you? I can only tell you as a trader, in other words, someone who has been buying and selling since Christ was on cross, right? When somebody throws like a little something into the way your goofy brain is thinking, it causes you to retract. It doesn't mean you barrel into it deeper. And from my perspective, the way they handle the lack of transparency of what you're paying for the car is stone flat, a doofus thing for them to do, because a guy can't have, or a girl, whoever's bidding on the car, can't have both feet on the ground knowing exactly what they're paying for their car. They can't count their money. It's just like nebulous nonsense. And it's not good for the psyche of the buyer.
Agreed.
Sean, did I put you to sleep already? That was a short time.
No, that's perfect. Transparency is I love your analogy. It's like chlorine in the water, right? It just
Yeah.
clears all the mud up and lets people go forward and do some business. So it makes
Then
a
you're not
lot of sense
afraid
to
to
me.
dive in. You can dive in because the water's clear. You can see that there's no snakes, there's no sharks, no glass, no rocks. What's the point of having muddy water? What's the point? And that's exactly what happens when you're bidding on a car and you buy a car, but you really don't know what you paid until afterwards you get the surprise attack. What's the point to it? Makes no sense to me. Now,
Thanks for doing this.
what's the resolution though? I'm going. See you later. Have fun, everybody.
Bye.